I always say to people, always look out for when you know that this is no longer safe for you. Your life is in danger. Because I got to the point where, my husband said, if you did not leave, you actually get
Google TV, See Love World, LCBNTV.com, LifeComTV.com.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Lydia. My name is Lydia Khalil. Thank you again for watching. Today we are talking about a topic that I covered some episodes again, domestic violence. Then we heard it from a professional. Today I've got with me a lady who made that decision of leaving her abusive marriage. We want to talk about it from the cultural concept, what church thinks and how we can be prepared for those who are going to make that decision to leave an abusive marriage or relationship. Please help me welcome Bose Asho. Hi, Bose.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for agreeing to come on the show. I know we spoke a little bit, and I could tell there was some hesitation when I said, "Can we share your journey?" And you were like, "I'm bored. I'm oversharing this journey."
You know how things are.
And really, I wasn't thinking about all the sort of. Sometimes I think we hear these stories and we get lost in the drama, all what happened next, what did he really do, was it that difficult? But I think today I want you to just give a little bit of a background, but I think more importantly, when people have made such a big decision, how do we navigate that journey? Because it's something you do, but there's a lot of time ahead of the person, especially having done it at a quite a young age, and you had children to worry about.
Yes.
And actually also what the church, what society, yes, and the culture we're working with. So just actually share a little bit about you.
Well, who am I? Like you say, I'm Abosede Osho, a mother of 3 wonderful children. I mean, young adults. I don't call them children anymore. And I was married to their dad, yes. And I was married for 14 years. And we've been separated now 13 years. So that's why I said to you, when you asked me that, I think my own story is a bit still. Maybe we should take somebody else. But, the thing is that the process, the concept is the same. So I do understand where you were coming from. And it's not everybody who takes that decision, to leave it all and walk away. And people say, "Oh, that was a courageous move to make." Well, they call it courage, but like I keep saying, there comes a time where you have to think about your life, and also the fact that you have children who are involved. In my case, 3 children, and I have to think about them and what is going to work for me. I think my relationship got to it. Like I always say to people, always look out for when you know that this is no longer safe for you. Your life is in danger. Because I got to the point where, my husband said, if you did not leave, he actually gave me that, if that ultimatum, if you did not leave, it was your dead body that they were going to take out of my house. And I thought, no. If it got to that, then, that was a point where I knew that I had to make that decision and leave, because I needed to be a living mother to my children. So now separated 13 years, and like I keep saying to people, I'm going to be separated for as long as I've been married, very soon, in a few more months. So if no one says, I pat myself on the back and I say, you know what, God is doing awesome and God has kept us. So here I am.
But I know that, some people may say to you, it was a courageous thing.
Yeah.
And what, like when people have fights, we imagine that there's always a way you can resolve them. And when somebody says, people actually say it in disagreements, I'm going to kill you, at what point do you really stop and think, what, this person means it? So there must have been something that triggered that belief in you.
Okay. You see, when you're in a home where domestic violence has been the order of the day, you come to accept it, so it's part of the deal, and everything like that. For me, maybe because of my background, I said to myself that whenever I got married, I was going to make sure that marriage was it. I gave it my all. I would make sure that nothing happened, and that was what I did, ensuring that I kept my marriage. So even when the violence started, it actually started just a bit before the wedding. So I saw it, but you know how it is, with our culture, it's like my mother had passed on, so my aunt was like my mother figure. And when I told her this had happened and I wanted to get out of the relationship, she was like, "Oh, we're going to disgrace the entire family. This is the first wedding we're going to have in the family, and now cards have gone out, you're going to walk out." So on the wedding day, I knew what I was getting into. So I kind of, said to myself, this is something that I signed up for. So I did everything to make sure that things that I could do to avoid those things happening, because of course nobody wants to get hurt. When I say physically hurt, so I knew would lead to that. If you say something that I respond and I know that it's going to be, so I now stop talking, so that because I don't know what I would say that would be the wrong thing. So, we went along that line, and at the beginning of the marriage, my husband was not born again, like we always say. So, I kept thinking if I push him to the church, that would help. We always think that.
Yes, that would be this great moment of the
and so I kept praying that would happen, and it did happen a few years later, and it got better a bit, But one thing is that when the physical violence stops or reduces, something else has to go, for the person, because I guess for the person who wants to always be in control, they always have to be in control. So where the physical violence stopped, I had a lot of abuse, like verbal abuse.
It changed to verbal abuse.
Emotional abuse, things that would break my spirit, talks about me not being good enough in anything, things like that. And like deny me things that ordinarily should come, and sometimes, something as little as, all the car keys would be gone if it was upset, and I would have to take a taxi to take my children to school, just to cover up and things like that. So little things like that. And when you say, at what point did I make that decision that I'd had enough? Like I said, this had stopped. So there were other things involved. And because I kept saying to myself that, my marriage was going to work, I was going to give it everything. When you are there, it's like you're trampled upon. It's like the other party knows that you don't have anywhere to go. Let me put it.
So you've made this decision.
You've made the decision. So they take advantage of you, doing this, everything like that. And there were, at that point, he had stopped talking to me for like a year. He had stopped in the house. He wouldn't tell me where he was going to. Things were just getting increasingly worse, and everything like that. And for somebody who all of a sudden wasn't talking to me, wasn't even answering my greeting, wasn't eating, and kept saying to people that heard, she had to leave, and things like that. I think one day, I remember when he said, you have to leave my house and things like that. And I said, please do me a favor. Could you give me a few months to sort out myself so that, it would be, a process for me? And he said, you don't deserve such. I think when I heard that, something in me snapped, like, I don't deserve such. 14 years of marriage, 3 wonderful children, and, no marriage where I know that I didn't work hard at keeping. I know that I didn't work hard at keeping. So something snapped in me. And I went further, made a trial, and I said, okay, for the sake of the children, would you allow me a few months to just gradually ease out? And said, I said you don't deserve such. At that moment, somebody just said, Abosede, you are better than this.
Mm-hmm.
You are better than this. So it's like, I call it my light bulb moment, So at that time, I just felt, what? If he says, it's not a do or die affair. He said he doesn't want any more, and that's it, and everything like that. And one day, for somebody who wasn't talking to me, came and said, I'm going to Abuja, and I'm thinking, okay, what's going on here? And I went out after about 2 days, and I got a call, would you lock me out of my house and things? Because I've gone out. I mean, as far as I was concerned, I've gone to Abuja and everything like that. So I had to rush back home. And of course, for somebody who had said if you were not going to leave, it was a dead body they were going to take out. And as I came in, he rushed at me. It was, and I could see that the anger was really, really, something. And I said to myself, no, this one is really going to be my own doing. And I would have myself to blame because I've been told that if you didn't, it was going to be your dead body and everything like that. Thankfully, my cook was there, and it was the one who,
intervened
to make sure that I did. And I just said, you know what? I might not be lucky. Next time, this cook will not be here because, we had other assignments outside the home at that time. And I don't want to be a statistic, and everything like that. And somehow I just had this feeling that my being given that notice 2 days earlier was somehow to come in unannounced or something. You know how you just get this funny feeling and everything. But anyway, I thank God. I just, managed myself, and I went to my sister's house. And they said the rest is history. I know at the time you gave somebody saying actually you are quite courageous. But I've also heard people say you weren't patient enough. Mm-hmm.
Or you didn't pray enough.
I remember, it's important that you say that, because I remember when the church, was intervened, was talking to me after everything. And of course, I was called to a council of elders. You know how this thing works, and everything like that. And they were like, oh, why did you have to leave even if he said that? And I'm looking at them, and honestly, the question I wanted to ask was, please, if it was your daughter, would you have advised her to stay? But of course, I couldn't, because already they had the impression that I was quite arrogant and things like that. So, but in my head, I just felt that, I felt helpless. I felt alone, because it was like everybody kept, oh, even though he said that, you should have stayed. After all, he has not gone ahead to do it. And I'm thinking, after all, he has not gone ahead. I don't think I would have waited until he did it. And it's the same people, funny enough, when things like that do happen, the people now turn around and turn the blame on the woman and say, oh, wait,
the woman, that was going to be
left. Things like that, maybe at the time that she's in the mental home, or she's in or she's even damaged, or something, she's damaged and everything like that. So I didn't want the situation where anybody would come and tell, as much as people thought, okay, because we're Christians, I should have given it more. I knew that I had given it so much already, and I knew at that time that my life was really in danger, because there were so many other things going on, with him at that time, which, he was already at, when it gets to the point where the man thinks you're just the problem, then yes, you can do it. Everything that is going wrong is you, even to the point where, somebody had given him a prophecy about me being, responsible for things going wrong in his business. So how do you win with such a person, So, I mean, yes, as much as I said that maybe I didn't give it enough time, I knew that I had given it enough time, because I kept saying to people that if I did not come from the kind of background I came from, I don't even think that I would have stayed 1 year in that marriage. And like I said, it happened just before the wedding, and I still went home. I know.
I think because when people share, their story with me, and they're a bit sort of not sure what they want to do, I tell them the most important thing is that you can justify it to yourself.
Yes, definitely.
Because the pressure is high on. It's coming from family.
Right.
It's coming now from the church. But I think we were talking about damage. The damage might be physical. That's what we were saying, that the woman may have died. She may have been hurt in a way that, was not repairable. But there is also a damage that goes on emotionally, mentally.
That is the most critical one. Nobody sees that damage, the physical damage, the emotional damage to the woman. I mean, it's really, once your spirit is broken, like I say to people, you have to be useful to yourself before you're useful to somebody else. If you have put yourself in a position where somebody has so much damage to you, there's no way that even those children that they say, oh, because of the children, you should keep that marriage, you will not even be useful to those children. So, you have to, it's you first before anything.
And I think what we forget is that is an example the children may follow. We have this thing that people who have been abused abuse.
Yes.
So if the young man is seeing his mom being hit, he might think this is how marriage works, so I'm allowed to do that.
Yes, they think that's the norm.
Yeah, that's the norm. Or the girl sees her dad hitting her mom, or vice versa, and she thinks it's okay.
Yes.
Mom has endured it for so long. So it's permission. You spoke a bit about your background. So do you think the background influences us maybe staying, in some of these abusive relationships? Not only marriage, friendships, all those kind of
in any decision we make or the way that we live our lives, our background definitely plays a lot, our background, the culture that we're in and everything, because you find people who do things, is either you say to yourself, depending on what background you want to, I don't want what has happened to me,
I've heard that too. Yeah.
Things like that. So that was because I think my parents separated when I was maybe about 3 or 4, something. So, with that background, I said, no, it wouldn't happen with me, with my children, So I wanted my children to grow up in a home where mom and dad I had a fantastic, despite the fact that my parents were separated, my mother got remarried to a fantastic man, I still had, the family home, and everything like that. But just the fact that, my father and my mother were not together, I didn't want that to happen to my children. So somebody else may be coming from that background and think, well, that's what usually happens. So if it's going to happen to me, well, it's happened before, so I won't be the first one. So your background is either you're saying, okay, it's going to make me, or, these are the core of my background and I don't want it to happen to me. So your background always plays a big role in whatever decision you make in life. Either for or against.
Or against, yeah. Because if your expectation is marriage breaks up, parents become irresponsible, then it's a no-brainer. Once things get difficult, I jump out. Or we're like actually trying to build this ideal.
Yes.
I didn't have a good enough family, so I must make a good enough family. And I think sometimes, as you said, that when the people we become involved in see that we're driven by these things, it becomes a point what they can then use it against the person, because they know no matter what, I want to stay in this marriage, I want to make it work. So instead of it becoming an advantage to the marriage to overcome obstacles, it becomes a disadvantage because it's being used against the person.
So bad too, Yes.
So let's go back into the cultural context. That word is running away with me too. What was the family response?
The family response. For me, I kept it away for so long that by the time my family members became aware, it was a shock. And it was like, why would you take this for so long? And you wouldn't let us know, And I'm not from the kind of family where when you make an excuse, for violence and say, okay, for marriage, you have to be there. As a matter of fact, I think it was more of, if you had told us earlier, we sure would have taken this stuff in one way, and everything like that. Because, I had my brother coming from the US to actually face my husband, that how they can touch my sister and things like that. So for everyone, they felt if you had told us earlier, we would have made this in the board and everything. So I did come from a family where no, you have to you have to go back, you have to do this. So which made me realize that maybe if I told more people at the beginning rather than just my auntie, maybe I would have actually had and worked out and not have gotten into, because people always say a broken relationship is always better than a broken marriage. A broken relationship at that time and everything like that. But I spoke to my auntie, so I didn't have any pressure from my family, like, oh no, you have to be there. No, because to them, my life was more important and both of my children. So it was like, we would respect you, we would, because I think also because they tried to mediate and they just were not getting through with, so, and of course, they could see things that, well, looks like nothing can be done here. When you talk to them, you will know whether there's a way or there's no way. So, so there was no pressure from my family, like, oh no, you have to be there. No. Neither did they say, no, you have to be out. So it was not a matter of, oh, we're encouraging you or discouraging you. It was like, whatever your decision is, we're here as your family to support you and hold your hands through. So that's good to hear, because I know sometimes the family are so bothered about covering and and which puts further pressure on the victim, because they feel rejected by even her family. So I didn't get that. I was lucky not to get that. So I wasn't rejected by my family because of that. No.
Okay. So what made you not tell? What made you not tell?
What made me not tell? Good. It's interesting that you're asking that question. Like I said, I'm the first child, and my mother, has 5 children, and I have other siblings also from my father, and I'm the first. So I always felt that, how everyone looks up to the first as So I always felt I had to be the good example.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, that being a good example, I mean, I didn't want anybody to know that this was what was going on with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also the stigma in the society.
Yeah.
We happen to be a fairly respectable couple. Let me put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want people out there to know what was going on. Yeah, so that's it. My family, the society, the church. No, people don't know what was going on with me. As a matter of fact, I put on a very, very good face. People said, I mean, when everything now crumbled, like, wow, you mean, and you were always smiling all over the place, and you're just a jolly good fellow, everybody's friend, and everything like that. And I just laughed, So that's just yes.
So I guess I'm asking that because a lot of the people who are watching, we have this responsibility of being the firstborn,
yes.
of putting up a good example. You had to pass all your exams, marry at the right time, have the good home, marry the right time, husband. So those are all the expectations we have, and of course, when you now take on all of that and you go into something that isn't what you expected, you somehow feel you still have to present.
That's right. That's right.
So do you feel, I mean, church has, I can imagine the meeting you attended. So let's not even go back. And I think that also feeds a lot now when people are wavering.
Yes.
About the decision because they're having some kind of counseling from church.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's, with benefit of hindsight, I think that my problem was more compounded because of the society where I'm in. In Nigeria, church is spread from church all over the world. I mean, excuse me, and we all know that. I mean, because I mean, I'm friends with ministers who are not ministers in Nigeria who have said, we would have handled it differently if, it was here that it happened. And I've seen what churches outside Nigeria are doing, cases like this in families, And so the way we do counseling back in Nigeria, is very different from how it's done everywhere. So the church, what is evolving is better. Everything with more awareness and more young people coming in and things like that compared to how it was, 13, 14 years back when, no, you can't.
And I think
for a minister, for two ministers, so I mean, now ministers are working out of their marriages and
not exactly that it's a good thing, but
really, like I keep saying, it's not, by the time somebody makes a decision to walk out of a marriage, I always say to people, I say it in my local dialect, that they didn't turn madness in the person's swallow, Yorubas have to say, you can say so it's not like somebody just snaps or somebody is mad and says, oh no, no, it's a viewer. And everybody always wants things to work. They will always ensure that things work. So it's when you know that this definitely, that's why they say irreconcilable differences, total breakdown of the marriage and everything like that. I used to be of the opinion like, oh no, you can't say you're having irreconcilable differences because these issues can be discussed and everything like that. But marriage working between two people takes commitment from both people, from both persons. Because if one person is saying no, this has to work because I'm coming from this background, or I've made up my mind that this, and the other person is seeing it as not a big deal, as a no-brainer. It's like two of you are on opposite directions. Yes, so if the other person is looking at it, what is it? Get out of my house. I've had enough, and everything. And you are saying, no, I have to remain here, So for everybody, they would work hard to make sure that their marriages work. But by the time that point where they say, you know what, this is not going to work, they're already at the point where they are so sure. Yes.
I think, as we say, the church in Africa, no, I don't even think it is in Africa. I think everywhere that is not in the Western or the more developed nations, because culture is actually embedded in the way of life. And family must stay together. We must try to work it out. And then, of course, they're empowered with the word. So it's like it's given to the person that there is no way out. This is the only way. So, but as you say, it's evolving.
Yes.
And like everything else, I agree with you. I say nobody gets married to get a divorce.
That's
they
right.
get married to make it work. And as is evolving, we are hoping that in time people will see that some of it cannot be fixed. It's not the ideal choice, but it really cannot be fixed.
Yeah, I would say that the church is doing a lot now. Compared to when we got married, it was just because, okay, I got married in, one of the Orthodox churches and everything. So it was before your marriage, you had the marriage counseling course that you would go for maybe 4 weeks, 1 day a week for 4 weeks. But we know, that there's no way anybody would cover all the issues that happen in the marriage in 4 weeks. In a program of 1 hour a week, that's basically 4 hours of telling me what marriage is going to be. So, but now churches know. So we're having things like seminars happening. Men are in groups where men are being real with themselves. You have pastors who say, my man cannot beat. I don't want to hear about it. That I have domestic violence happening in my congregation. So pastors are talking really to their congregation. They're letting them know. They put them in many groups where people are coming to talk to them. So we're not even aware that the things that they were doing were bad. Like you said, the culture, the background, and everything like that. So we just thought it was enough. But now somebody else can tell them that what you're doing is actually not acceptable. Because Miles Morrow was saying that what is abuse? Abuse is abnormal use of a person. So all those things, it takes somebody who understands and breaks it down for them. So the church is really doing a lot now to get people educated, to put them in groups where, small cell units where they can have people to talk to and they can help them. And so it's not just that counseling that you go for, the pre-marriage counseling, and after that, they leave you on your own. So there's a lot of counseling, there's a lot of training going on. There's a lot of, couples retreats that bring people together. People who have said that, some of these retreats, they've never had a retreat with their husband, except a lot is being done now, and we must commend the church really that things are evolving, things are getting better, and there's a consciousness, so people are being intentional about making
their marriage work. Okay, let's go back a bit into your journey, because there will be loads of young people who have just started the journey, in the journey, and who are considering, going on that journey. How has the journey been?
The journey of separation.
We can start there. We can start with that.
See, I say to people, I'm real, and I say separation is not an easy path to tread, because there's a lot of pressure. There's so much, and in the society where people know that you're not with a man, you're treated differently, and everything like that.
Even treated with less respect.
With less respect, definitely. Even your own staff, they will treat you better if you were under a man, as saying, under a man. Oh my God.
And what about let's be real now. What about friends?
Okay.
Did you lose some friends along the way?
Well, luckily for me, I had good friends. But so people who were my friends, I didn't lose them, and everything like that. But you know how it is that when you're alone, you're single, everybody, they always, if you have a close relationship with a man that is your friend, automatically you're dating him. So you are a threat to even his wife. Yeah. So there's always one rumor or the other. Oh, you're having something to do with somebody who you know that you're just friends with. So you really have to be very careful, because everybody now becomes a suspect.
Every relationship is suspect.
That's right. So you know that pressure is there, and so it's not easy. It's not easy, because you're trying to weigh that off. You're trying to deal with people who are not giving you respect because you are not Mrs. Somebody who real missing.
Yeah. Do you think these are all the things that make women stay in some of these marriages?
If you ask me, yes. And the truth really is that so women, you ask them and they say, how am I going to survive? Where am I going to?
Yes.
Then,
that's going to happen to me now.
Yes. So a lot of them actually stay back because of fear of the unknown, fear of, am I going to be able to do this alone? Not realizing that none of us goes on the journey alone. God is always there to hold our hands. It's not you. It cannot be you anyway. So, because God is a merciful God, He's just, so He's there for each and every one of us. So being afraid, being fearful, especially, I always say to people, if you have the mind of Christ and you trust in the God that you serve, He will see you through any situation. It's not somebody who throws your mistakes at you, He says it's not for us a thought of good.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and I believe that God knew already.
Oh, yeah.
This would happen.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
So it's not taking him by surprise.
It takes him by surprise.
Yeah. So he already knows that this is going to happen to my daughter. She's going to have 3 children.
That's right.
She's going to at some point start a new journey.
Yes.
Because it's just a new journey in life, and all these things that get thrown at at the person.
Yes.
God already has made a way of escape in those things. So how was it?
I hope so. Women are listening and hearing what you're saying.
Because I think also this idea of how can I survive, or what will I do, especially if people have attained a certain level of success, or the husband has attained.
Yes.
And they're used to a certain standard
of living. Nobody wants to go from 5 first class to why the class.
So
we just have to adjust,
I don't think we should laugh about this, because these are real, real issues.
If we don't laugh about some of these things, then people think that they're serious.
It's a big deal, that it's serious.
It's not that serious, and that's the truth.
So yes, that I think what we're saying is that there will be challenges.
Yes. Definitely.
God is with you, and some of the things that we place value on are not really important.
Yes.
In 5 years or 10 years, there'll always be a first-class seat to buy.
Oh yeah.
It's not going to run out of fashion. That's what I say. I'm like, okay, you can't buy this thing now, this bag,
right.
This piece of jewelry, but they're not giving you life. It will still be there in 5 years' time. You don't have to have everything.
Yes.
So yes, it's about counting the cost. It's not to, some people were lucky where they got divorces, they were able to remain in their homes, they got some kind of financial support, or in situations where even the ladies
I didn't get any of that at all. So it was a struggle. I didn't get any of that.
But I think for most women, especially in Africa or developing world, I don't want to say third world, she's most likely going to leave without nothing.
Yes.
Most likely to be homeless.
Yes.
She would have to fend, or in some cases rely on people being benevolent to her to pay things like school fees, educating the children, medical costs, all those things that she had hoped, the man would provide, or they would jointly provide for. So it would now be one income and a few others to look after on the way.
I think back, in Africa, or maybe Nigeria, or maybe it's maybe the part of Nigeria that's I'm from. I think the men see it as a control tool.
A form of punishment.
As a sort of punishment, and they don't realize that this punishment you're trying to met out to this woman, your children are actually being followed, because where a man refuses to pay school fees, to give the woman a home to live in, and what are you doing? I mean, what are you saying? I would say that's what I said. It's important for the man to understand the concept of abuse and the value, because what you value you don't abuse, and if you understand the value and everything like that. For somebody who it's okay for two people to stop being in love with themselves, but if you value that person as a mother of your children, you will always say that you want the mother of your children to be well taken care of, so that she can in turn take good care of your children at the end of the day. So you wouldn't want a situation where she doesn't have a home to live in, she's happy to beg people to, I thank the Lord that I didn't have to do that, because I was able to stay with my sister for about 6 months. Then I found a place and things like that. But some don't even get themselves, haven't had to go through all these things. And why men do this? Honestly, it's
because
another one again. And you're like, you mean there are all of them like that outside? So it's sad.
In fact, I was working this morning, and one of the therapists said to me, she's amazed how the traits in abuse is the same. That you can put 100 abused women, all of them are men have the
similar. Yes.
I've also heard, the men saying, well, if I provide for her, she's just going to take my money and give it to another man, or move on to another man. I heard this like some kind of like if I make life easier for her, then she'll have time to enjoy life, or should look attractive for somebody else, or sometimes then my children will suffer neglect. There are all kinds of things people come out with.
I know, I can imagine, but I always say that it's very rare, and to be strange when it happens, to see a woman who doesn't put her children first in anything. It's very, very rare. So for a man to use that as an excuse, I just think it's not tenable, because the woman oftentimes would surely ensure that those children would be first in anything, and they're well taken care of. In terms of, should be attractive to somebody else, it was your poison. It's going to be somebody else's meat. If you have rejected it and somebody else says, I want her, you shouldn't even bother you anymore. You shouldn't. You don't want. So if she looks attracted to somebody else, you can't think that it's going to be your money that makes her attracted to somebody else. You concentrate on looking after your children. Now forget about her. Thinking of, my money is going to make her attracted to somebody else. No. Look at the fact that, your children, you are meant to look after them. Whatever it takes for you to look after. And I've heard men who have said, it doesn't matter to me that, the fact that for my children, I will ensure that she's well taken care of, so that my children can be well taken, because I can't do it by myself. So she has to be there. So I need for her to be well taken care of, so that those children are well taken care of. So a man who doesn't want to do anything, don't give an excuse, really.
Okay, let's now that we've talked, about the children and the implications for the children. Did you consider leaving without your children?
Never, not at any point in time. Not at any point in time.
Because I know sometimes it's the easier option.
Yes, well, it's
because the woman really can get on with her life.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know, so
it was not.
It was for you. It wasn't an option.
Because it was like, you know, if I'm going to drink Gary, we will drink the Gary together. So it was not. Yeah, it
you didn't even think about it.
Yes.
So how did you explain what was happening to the children? How did you?
Luckily for me, the children were already away in England in boarding schools when it happened. So, and because they also had seen, you know, some of the things that happened before they went away to be, you know, in boarding school, they could understand when I said, look, it had gotten to the point where we're not going to be living together, you know, anymore. So because they had seen some of the things, so it wasn't too much of a shock, but at the same time, children, of course, don't want their parents separating, because I remember it was a bit, you know, destabilizing for them, you know, because every time I took them back to school, they would cry, they would be like, oh, we don't want you to be alone, we're worried about you, which wouldn't have happened if I was still at home, you know, and everything. But, you know, somehow they knew that this was our new life, and we all adjusted. We thank God.
Well, okay, just because I guess they were already away from home, and they had seen some of it. So now looking back, because I guess when children are quite young, and I don't think it actually ever goes away. There is always this ideal that they would like mom and dad to be together. So I guess what I'm asking is, looking back now, are you still glad with the decision you made now?
I don't have any regrets. I never have regrets over things, you know, so I don't have any regrets. So yeah, I'm still okay. Yeah, I don't have regrets. Yes.
You're good with it. I mean, you know why I asked that question? Because when we get older, you know, and you begin to reflect, and, you know, there isn't that zeal. The children are grown up, and sometimes, I don't know, people visit their life again. You know, especially when you get to like a proper, recognizable age. Like, you know, how's the journey been? Would I have done anything differently, you know, to how I am now?
Lydia, I'll be very honest with you. You know, for me, like I said, I never would have wanted my marriage to end, because of, like, you know, I explained it to you. But looking back, I don't regret and say that, oh, is my life any worse because that's you understand? No, I don't look at it that way, and I look at it and I wonder, you know, if we're together and things that continue that way, would they be worse off than they are now? That's what I don't regret, and I just, you know, put everything to God and say, you know what, like you said, He always knows. He knows ahead. So
yeah. So he's already made a way. Okay, what would, because as I said, that I'm sure you come across it as well, probably as often as I do. What would be, I guess, your advice or caution for any young lady who is having this tussle in her mind? What do I do? Some have children, some don't have children. Some have been in the marriage for a while.
Okay, what I would always advise people is give it everything it's going to take to ensure that your marriage survives. Cry out, talk to people, you know, give it whatever, but ensure that both of you are on the same page to ensure that that marriage, you want it to survive. But if it gets to the stage where you are convinced that, please be bold, knowing very well that you're better off alive and useful to yourself when you are in a place where there's no strife, there's no violence, there's nothing. So that's what I would say. That would be my advice. Yes. to ensure it works. But if it's not going to work, it's not the end of life. Definitely, it's not the end of life. There will always be a bright light at the end of that tunnel.
Okay. And I'm going to now ask you in general, because I know you're quite successful at you see, I left it.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of career, you've raised 3 wonderful children. Even in I guess in terms of church success, you're an ordained minister. So you've gone through various journeys in life, and thank you for sharing so candidly. But what would you leave us with? Just everybody else who's listening and watching.
Your anchor has to be God always. And with that, his word says, trust in him and it will direct your path. And for me, in this journey, I don't go this journey alone. It's been God and God alone. And that's what I always leave with people. I say to them, it's God and he will always, always have your back. Thank you.
Thank you again for your time and sharing.
Thank you, Lydia, for having me.
Yes, I'm sure we'll have another sometime in the future. But it was good to let people know that it's a difficult decision. It's not something anybody takes flippantly, but you have to have agreed with yourself and your God that this is the best decision for me, and He will journey with you, and the result would be like what you have: your success in career, in ministry, so we wish you the.
Thank you so much.
Very best. Thank you. Thank you for
having me again. Thank you. I'm grateful.
You're welcome. God bless you. What an insightful conversation. I know we talk a lot about victims, but we can see somebody who's actually a victor, who made a decision to take her life and be accountable for it and journey with God. Thank you for watching again. My name is Lydia Khalil.
LCBN television broadcasts 24/7 on UK Freeview Channel 271, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, Google TV, See Love World, LCBNTV.com, LifeComTV.com.